We've been hearing one side of the story for a while. We have not heard the other side of the story. And Zach Smith, former Buckeye wide receivers coach, is taking time to call us and to talk to us. And Zach, I know your life is crazy, so I appreciate you taking a moment. I do want to ask you, and I got to ask you some certain questions. Everybody saw the pictures this week and all of that thing. Do you have an explanation? Immediately you look at those pictures and it's hard to get past them. So what would your explanation to the pictures Courtney, your ex-wife, distributed and showed everybody that was in the report for Brett McMurphy?
Well, all I can really say about it, and I've been purposely quiet since this all started because I don't believe this is the right venue to talk about it. I think that is between a husband and wife, and it's certainly, I don't in no means want to come out and throw dirt on Courtney at all. But all I can really say is that we had a volatile relationship. It was toxic, and by the end of it, it was just flat out needed to end. There was a lot of aggressive situations, and the only thing that is absolutely true is I've never committed domestic abuse against her. Now there was times where things got out of hand, and I had to defensively kind of restrain her and move her and get out of the situation and go sleep at the office or try to remove myself. That absolutely happened. So I don't know when those pictures are from, but I do. All I know is what I've ever done in our relationship or in my life.
Zach, are there times where you feel like you should have just walked away? Like, do you regret anything in the way you handled situations when it did get volatile?
I regret. Yeah, there's 100 things. I mean, thousands of things that I regret when things got volatile. Now, none of them are physical, but they were. I was not a great husband. I pushed her buttons. I could make her mad easily, and it happened from time to time. Like, there's a number of things that I did wrong, but again, that was between her and I. That's not anyone else's business. I wasn't a great husband, and we got divorced because of it. And the only thing that needs to be cleared up is the fact that there was never domestic abuse. I never hit her. I never got arrested. Never got charged. It got investigated twice, and no charges came about because I didn't do anything physically to harm her.
Well, Zach, as you know, this has trickled up to Urban Meyer. He's been put on administrative leave. The question is whether or not he lied to the media at the Big Ten meetings in regards to what happened between you and your wife. So my question is, what did Urban Meyer know in 2015? Was he aware of this? And what do you know as to him reporting it anywhere?
Yeah, I don't know. To be honest, that's all confusing to me. I don't know. I think initially, because when I heard that he had said that at Big Ten Media Days, my initial response was that he was reacting to the storyline that was put out there that I was arrested on felonious domestic abuse, which that never happened. And I think to him it was like, what? He got arrested for a felony? I didn't know about that because I didn't. That never happened. And so the only thing that I can come up with is that when he heard that, he knew nothing about me getting arrested for some felony, and so he said that statement. I don't know that. You'd have to ask him, but that was my reaction. Now, plenty of people knew about the allegation that was brought to the Powell police, and so much so that how I found out about it, I was on a practice field. I was out recruiting on a bye week. I was on a practice field, and I found out about the abuse because Gene Smith called me and said, "Zach, you need to be on the next plane home. Your ex-wife is brought forth domestic abuse accusations, and you need to get here. You need to find out what's going on."
So let me ask you this. When was that call with Gene Smith? Are you talking about like 2015 or what?
Yeah. It was October of 2015. I don't know the exact date.
So it's certainly something that was well known within the university and the athletic department.
Yeah, it was. And it was, and I think they handled it exactly how they should have handled it. I mean, I don't know who else they could have alerted, but the police were the ones that alerted them. So the authorities have already been alerted to these allegations. They're investigating them. And I give them credit to the fact that they said, let this investigation go through and see what the truth behind all of this is. And they investigated it, and there was no criminal charges. There was nothing that they said I did wrong, that I deserved to be charged. And so the case, it just went away.
visiting with Zach Smith, former Buckeye wide receivers coach, telling us his side of the story. We're here on 105.7 The Zone. Zach, I want to ask you, Coach Meyer did address the 2009 incident in Florida and that said that he and Shelley became involved with you and Courtney and counseling you at that time. Was the same true during this 2015 time? Issues that you were going through at that time, but were people counseling? How much were the coaching staff, Shelley Meyer, Urban Meyer, involved with you?
They weren't really involved in it at all because obviously at that time I was 6 years older. I was actually going through a divorce, so it wasn't like, I think in 2009 it was this young couple. They saw that, they said, let's try to help them build this life like we've built. And then by 2015, the marriage was over. Everything that was all done. And I don't know that there was a lot of counseling needed to be done, other than just finding out what happened and making sure that nobody did anything illegal.
Mm-hmm. So Zach, so I'm clear, because it's going to be a little redundant, because obviously we've talked about this, for the last few days. So my question is, again, about those pictures, when people see them, it's hard for them to get their mind away from them. So I want a twofold question. One, again, I just want you to talk about those pictures and the abuse allegations there. And then, based on everything you said, my next question is, do you know why you were terminated from Ohio State?
I know why I was terminated, and I don't think I did anything that warranted it. But the problem was that it was going to be unfair for those players at Ohio State, again, for the fans, for the whole university, to go through the media uproar that came from all of these. Some of this, all of this, and so it's a move they had to make. I don't think they were wrong in doing that. I don't think I deserved it, but I don't think it was wrong.
Yeah. How much did you, in 2015, during all this, you're going through a divorce and as you termed it, the volatile relationship. Did you sit down in Urban's office ever and say, this is going on? Did you report things that were going on? If you're saying that some of these situations, you were never charged, did you let him know that, hey, this is going on here in my life? I just want to make you aware that she's accusing me of this, she's accusing me of that.
No, I never talked to him about anything other than when the 2015 allegations came and they were investigating it. Everything else that happened, I believed, and I still believe, belonged behind closed doors between the husband and a wife, because it was not anything illegal or anything where it needed to be put out there to anyone. And honestly, I didn't know that police. I've never seen a police officer in any of these situations. It's not like the police were called and they came, and I don't know what happened, who called, who did what. I don't know that, but I also knew that it was my private life, and I didn't feel like it was his problem to deal with, because it was just a marital problem I had.
This whole thing started with what seemed like a minor story, the criminal trespassing in May. Can you explain what happened there? And that's how all of a sudden all the digging started and the other things came up. Tell us what happened in May.
So back in the fall, at some point, someone, I don't know how, but there was, my ex-wife believed that she saw a black truck at her apartment complex and felt like I was there for whatever reason, and I wasn't. But she called the Powell police and told them that, and they called me. The detective called me and said, "Hey, just so you know, Courtney said this, someone saw a black truck, and she thought you might have been there, and so I would advise you not to go around her place." And I told the detective, I said, "I don't want to go around her place. That's fine. We can meet somewhere else to drop the kids off. I don't ever need to go by her place." And so we did that for 6 months. Mm-hmm. And then in May, this one occurrence, I had my son at a big family gathering. I had to get him back to her by a specific time. I was in a hurry, and I didn't have time to go meet somewhere and wait for her, that I was just going to drop him off. He was going to get out and run in, and I was going to leave. And then she said, "No, I don't want you to come here." And I said, "Well, unfortunately, there's nothing that says I can't come there. And this is what I want to do because I'm in a hurry. So shouldn't be an issue. he'll just run in. And then she said, I'll meet you at the clubhouse of the apartment complex. And then that was kind of as I was pulling up. So I was like, okay, fine. And I didn't respond. And as I pulled in to go by to the clubhouse, no one was there. So I just continued down the road, pulled in her driveway, and she was outside snapping a picture of me pulling in her driveway. And so that when we go to that court appearance, that will get dismissed immediately because I was never served with any protection order. I actually, when I left her apartment, I called the Powell Police Department, and there's audio of this you could probably get a hold of. I called the Powell Police Department and asked them specifically, is there anything in your system that says I'm not allowed to go there? And the dispatcher asked me all the right questions. He said, have you been served with a protection order? I said, no, sir, I have never been served with anything. He said, you've never been given any kind of written document that says you're not allowed to go there? I said, no, sir, I haven't. He was like, yeah, then there's nothing legally why you can't go there unless you've been served with a warning, like a protective order. And I said, that's what I thought.
Well, let me ask you this, because you said there are reports of you stalking her. Did you stalk her in any way at any time, Zach?
Absolutely not.
Going back to 2015, because you mentioned that you got a call from Gene Smith at one point. How did Gene Smith find out? Was that did Urban, to your knowledge, did Urban report that? Was it just common knowledge? How did the athletic department superiors know about your situation?
I don't know this for fact, but I believe that the Powell Police Department contacted Ohio State, not Urban, but contacted the university and told them, hey, this is ongoing. This just came to us. We wanted to let you know because he's employed at Ohio State.
Gotcha.
So, Zach, in any time that you've been married to Courtney, have you ever been arrested for domestic violence?
I got arrested in 2009, mainly because the situation was it was just an argument gone bad, and I got arrested simply because it was 3 a.m. and they said, listen, we have to bring you in because we can't leave you here. Anytime there's a domestic allegation, we can't leave you in your residence with the other person. So they took me in, they arrested me, and then the charges got dropped after the investigation and talking to Courtney and talking to me. They ended up just dropping all charges, and I was released.
Visiting Zach Smith, the former receivers coach at Ohio State, joining us here on 105.7 The Zone. Before I let you go, one of the things that was kind of damning in the report that came out this week, and we've asked you about it, but the pictures. Are those authentic pictures?
I honestly don't. I have no. I'm not discounting that they aren't. I don't know that. I don't know when they're from. I don't know what they're from. I honestly have no idea. But there were several times that things got out of hand between us, and I'm not saying that as I restrained her and moved her out of my way to exit the house to get out of a volatile situation. I'm not saying that it's not possible that she got a bruise or a mark, but I honestly don't know what each picture's from, so I don't know.
Okay.
So my last question, Zach, during the things that were released with the pictures, obviously were text messages. There was one very volatile text message that it seemed like it came from you, talking about violence to another individual. Can you address that for us?
Yeah, I haven't read I didn't see those. Someone showed me the pictures, and that's all I've seen. So I don't know what the text messages said, but I mean, I told you I made mistakes. And when we first got divorced, I still was in love with her despite everything. And there was times I was jealous, but I don't believe I've ever threatened her or anyone. I don't know what the text said.
All right, Zach. We appreciate your time. I know you and your family are going through a rough time, and the thing that Stan and I always say is we always think about your 2 kids that are dealing with.
That's the real sad part. Is in my opinion, this was something that was not illegal. There was no one did anything illegal. This should have stayed behind closed doors so that my kids don't have to deal with this. And now they have to. And it's not even saying anything negative about her because she's a great mother. I mean, those kids love her. I mean, this is not a knock on her, but I think this should have stayed behind closed doors and didn't belong in the public. And now my poor kids have to deal with it.
All right, Zach. We really appreciate your time and best of luck to you. Appreciate you joining us today.
Absolutely. Thanks for having me.